all of the attention for the second half of this NFL season has been on Denver and their quarterback, and for good reason. It was a remarkable ride. But the last few weeks have certainly been alarming. As you've watched it, what have you seen, and what chance do you give Denver of pulling off what I think would be a huge surprise against Pittsburgh?
Well, I think when you look at Tim Tebow and Denver Broncos, I think what's happened is I think people are starting to catch up to the Broncos and what their scheme and what they're doing offensively. Making him throw into tight coverage. You see that a lot. You saw that with the Kansas City Chiefs, Romeo Cornell. Playing tight man-to-man coverage on the wide receivers, forcing Tim Tebow to throw into tight man-to-man coverage, and that's not his strength right now. It's not his strength to do that. So, and then on top of that, the thing that he did well for on that long winning streak was he wasn't turning the ball over. So you combine the turnovers that he's making and force him to throw into tight man-to-man coverage. I think now you're starting to see this thing kind of unravel a little bit.
Going along those lines, I'm looking at USA Today, and they did a fan reader poll on what wild card team do you have the most faith in? Which wild card team? So that's Atlanta, Detroit, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. Which one do you have the most faith in? Now, the top one is
pretty
evident. Were they using
the word faith? specifically?
Yes, you have the most faith in.
Okay, I'm just wondering if that was like a Tebow reference. The team you have the most faith in as a team is Pittsburgh.
Exactly right.
Not even close.
Who's next, do you think, in that? Who would you have? Of the wild card teams winning, I think everybody has Pittsburgh number one. But as far as the next team you think you would have the most faith in winning a game?
Atlanta?
They think Detroit.
Over New Orleans.
I just thought that was interesting because and then it's Atlanta, and then last most faith in is the Bengals beating Houston, a team on their third string quarterback
that they just beat a month ago.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that you look at with Detroit, Matthew Stafford has been playing very well, very good football over the past month, and that offense can score with anybody. And you remember the Monday night game, they did actually play the Saints well in that Monday night game without Ndamukong Suh in that game. So it'll be interesting to see how this rematch is going to play out.
Based off of what we saw last year with a hot team in the Packers, the way they came into the playoffs, who's that team this year?
I think the Giants could. You pointed out before on the show, I think the Giants could really make some noise.
Actually, it was me.
I've been pointing it out for a while.
Reedy poo-pooed it. I actually brought up that point.
I think the Giants could make noise in the playoffs. They have a lot of components that you need in order to go deep. They have a very good pass rush. They have a quarterback that's playing lights out right now. They have a lot of skill guys that can really do a lot of things after the catch. Ahmad Bradshaw, I think he's going to be a factor for the Giants. So, of all the teams, I think the Giants could really make some noise in the postseason.
The Giants are a team that it would not stun you if they lose this week, and it would not stun you if they wind up in the Super Bowl. I think they're that kind of unpredictable and all the rest of that. Mike and Damien Woody, do you believe, Mike Ditka said this yesterday with us, Chris Carter said it yesterday, do you believe there has been a permanent change in the NFL? For when you were coming up as a young football player, the old adage was always defense wins championships. With what New England has done this year, Green Bay has done this year, New Orleans and others, do you think that has changed? Is the NFL now an offense wins league?
No question about it. No question. If you look at all the rule changes, everything is skewed towards the offense. And I go back to everything started to change actually in my old starting grounds in New England when we used to have those battles with the Colts. And, our guys used to beat up on the Colts. That's when the rule changes all, started to come around. And now it's just all about, it's like the Wild Wild West right now in NFL. It's all about who can outlast who can score the most points, because defensively you can't touch anybody. You get penalties and all those type of things. So I think right now whoever got the hottest quarterback will go all the way, I think.
And as much as we like to talk about a hot quarterback passing well, you'd like to have a running game. You as an O-lineman love to be able to grind it out. How much, and I think we all believe Pittsburgh can get by this game without Rashard Mendenhall, but he's gone for the season with a torn ACL. So how much is that going to hurt them in this passing league that we have?
I think it's going to hurt them. I think, the thing about Rashard Mendenhall, He's a big back, but he has really good feet, and the guy, he makes a lot of yards after contact. Now, they do have a couple other big backs, that's behind him, but I don't think they have the same skill set as Rashard Mendenhall. Now, the one team I will point out is the New Orleans Saints. They have a lot of guys in the backfield who can get it done. I mean, Ivory.
Yeah, Pierre Thomas.
They have a lot of guys. Now, I know Mark Ingram's not going to play in the postseason, but they have a lot of guys in the backfield, and they're one of the top rushing teams in the National Football League. So you would think, that they can take that rushing attack on the road and be able to do some damage.
Plus Sproles, who was tremendous this year. Mike and Damien Woody, who's in our studio. And then there is the team that you played the last few years of your career for, and that's the New York Jets. And at one point this year, I honestly thought you were going to go back and play again this year. The Jets struggled so much at right tackle with Wayne Hunter there, and that was your position, and it didn't happen. And I think that when we see the way the Jets season unraveled at the end and the complete disaster that was the very end with Santonio Holmes and everything else, the prevailing wisdom is there was a void of leadership, a vacuum of leadership, and that a lot of the guys who were leaders on that team, which would include yourself and Alan Faneca and many and others, were sort of banished. As you watched what happened there, and I know you still have a lot of friends there, what did you see?
Well, I mean, obviously this year, I wasn't in the locker room, but the thing that I really believe in from my time with championship teams, especially in New England, is that the locker room really polices itself. It's not up to the head coach to really, try to, build the chemistry and police the locker room. The locker room polices itself. You got to have that core group of guys that you can really lean on and really, hold the locker room accountable. And that, to me, that's the one thing that I really didn't see from the Jets this year was that core group of guys, stepping out in front and really taking this thing, by the throat and really selling this thing down, because that's, to me, is where, that's where things just start unraveling for the Jets.
So what can happen next year? A lot of these guys are going to be there. It's not like the Santonio Holmes deal. He's going to be there with the whole money situation. A lot of these guys are going to be here. So how does it change?
They have a lot of, they got a lot of healing to do because, like you said, because contractually he's going to be there. You can't get rid of a lot of guys just because of salary cap constraints. You just can't do it. So it's just going to be one of those things. And Rex alluded to it yesterday in his little presser that, getting back to, Cortland, he really holds that high on his list, because he thinks that's really builds a team. Rex talked about that a lot, really getting back to Cortland and having training camp away from the facility and really just get that team building going again. And I think it's going to be a long process through the offseason. Mini camps, training camp. It's going to take a long time for this thing to get back around again.
Damien Woody is here. Take me inside that. Take me into a New England locker room. If you had a player who was, according to what we're hearing, behaving the way Santonio Holmes was, appeared disinterested, blowing off meetings that are called by his quarterback, appearing to mope during halftime, what does a leader on that team actually do?
Well, I mean, a leader on that squad. First of all, let me rewind a little bit. First of all, I think by the actions, just the way guys work, everybody fell in line. Guys just, when we brought new people in and they just saw how professional, how things worked in the locker room and how professional guys were.
This is in New England.
This was in New England. Guys would just fall in line. Now, if you did have somebody that was kind of stepping out of bounds, I mean, there would be just 3 or 4 guys just on them immediately, pull them to the side like, hey, this is not how we do things. This is the way we do it. This is how we've won championships. Either you fall in line or you're gonna be out of here. It's that plain. It's just that simple. So it's all about the guy. It was the guys in the locker room, the Teddy Bruschi's, the Willie McGinnis, the Ty Laws, the Rodney Harrison. All those guys really helped police that locker room.
I guess the question is there a line with the Jets though? Starting from your head coach, who talks freely and doesn't stop any of his players from talking. Has there even been a line drawn for any new player to come in that locker room and say, oh, yeah, this is how it works? Because it looks like how it works is it's basically a free-for-all.
Well, I think it's up to some of the younger guys who Rex Ryan and Mike Tannenbaum really count on to really step up to really establish that new leadership, the new culture in the locker room. Because, like you said, some of the other guys are gone. Guys like myself and Allen and Chris Jenkins, a lot of guys that were there, Tony Richardson. So it's up to the new guys like Mangold and Revis and David Harris. Those guys are the nucleus of the team moving forward, and it's up to those guys to really, lead the pack and show guys what it's all about to be a Jet.
You will see Damien Woody on SportsCenter throughout the day as our NFL coverage continues. Happy New Year. Good to see you.